Hello, brothers, and welcome to Sigma Old Man Channel. Some men seek revenge, Sigma males become it. Pause on that. In a world where evil parades itself in expensive suits and fake smiles, most people either play along or fight back the loud way. But Sigma males, they don't scream, they don't swing, they calculate. They don't need to burn bridges, and they let bridges rot while they build a jetpack in silence. Here's a fact that should make manipulators sweat. Over 80% of toxic people are shocked not by what someone does to them, but by what someone no longer gives them. Attention, emotion, relevance. That's Sigma territory. See, Sigma males are not your nice guy with boundaries or mystery man with mood swings cliches. They are walking karmas, composed, unreadable, and spiritually allergic to **T. They don't fight evil directly, they dismantle it passively, like emotional ninjas with no return address. You lie to a Sigma, he upgrades himself so much you start doubting your own worth. You betray him, he'll vanish so cleanly it'll feel like you hallucinated the whole relationship. So buckle up. We're diving into 20 savage, out-of-this-world reasons why Sigma males aren't just people you lose. They're the lesson you never recover from. And if you've ever wronged one, maybe light a candle. Just in case, let's begin. Number 1. They violate your ego's supply chain without touching you. They don't yell. They don't block you for the drama. They don't post indirect quotes or try to out-petty you. They just cut the power to your ego's entire supply chain and walk away like nothing happened. That's the Sigma male's most brutal move, emotional starvation. Not out of spite, but because they refuse to keep feeding anything that thrives on manipulation, chaos, or attention games. Evil people survive off reactions. They need someone to argue with, someone to chase them when they pull away, someone to validate them when they fake a crisis. But Sigma males don't play that game. They see through it instantly, and instead of reacting, they let the silence do the damage. When you try to bait a Sigma into emotional warfare and they just do nothing, that's when the slow burn starts. Not on them, on you. Your need to be chased turns into confusion. Your little mind games lose their punch. Your craving for control meets a wall that doesn't move, flinch, or care. And as you spiral trying to provoke something, anything, the Sigma's stillness becomes a mirror that forces you to look at yourself. That's the part no one talks about. It's not even about revenge. It's the Sigma's refusal to feed your dysfunction that makes you choke on your own emptiness. The most dangerous part? They don't announce this. They don't say, "I'm done." They don't make it dramatic. They just unplug. And when they stop giving you attention, energy, validation, even eye contact, you realize just how much of your ego was propped up by the reactions you used to pull out of them. Sigma males kill toxicity through neglect, strategic, intentional neglect. You thought they'd beg. You thought they'd crack. You thought silence meant weakness. Instead, that silence becomes a slow suffocation. One you caused, one you can't escape, and they won't even watch you unravel. They'll be busy building, growing, glowing in their own world where your chaos doesn't even register. You wanted fuel for your ego. All you got was a Sigma who removed the batteries and let you sit in the dark. That's karma. And it doesn't get louder. It just gets colder. Number 2, they'll beat you without you ever knowing it was them. You'll never hear them coming, and by the time you realize something's off, it's already done. That's the Sigma male's style, silent execution. He doesn't come back to rub it in your face, doesn't seek credit, and definitely doesn't leave fingerprints. He just removes himself from your twisted little universe and lets the cracks form on their own, slowly, quietly, fatally. You think you won because you saw no reaction. You got under his skin, right? Wrong. He was observing, downloading, strategizing, and while you were busy flexing your manipulation, he was already planting the seeds of your downfall in places you'd never think to look, not out of vengeance, but precision. Sigma males don't waste energy on battles they can win without lifting a finger, and then one day things stop working for you. People don't pick up your calls like they used to. Your circle starts thinning. Your charm starts glitching. No big blow-up. Just a subtle decline that keeps accelerating, until you're left wondering what the hell happened. You didn't see the strings he pulled because he doesn't pull them publicly. He operates from the shadows like a chess master who made his move 10 turns ago. By the time you figure it out, the game's over, and you lost. The worst part, you can't prove it was him. He's long gone, sipping tea, unbothered, detached, and emotionally 5 dimensions above whatever mess you're drowning in. He didn't need revenge. He just needed to remove his energy from your life and let nature handle the rest. Because when someone like a Sigma leaves, the ecosystem shifts. People notice. Loyalty rebalances. The truth leaks out in whispers. You lose traction in rooms you didn't even know he walked through. That's the real sting. Not that he hurt you directly, but that he made you irrelevant without ever touching you. No confrontation, no loud exits, no scorched earth, just your own shadow, slowly swallowing you while the Sigma disappears into a better timeline, one where your name never even comes up. That's not a loss, that's a silent execution. And you'll never know how deep the cut was until the bleeding starts. Number 3, they don't attack corruption, they render it incompatible. Sigma males don't come to the battlefield, they make the battlefield irrelevant. Corruption thrives on predictable patterns. Fear, insecurity, emotional triggers, status games. But Sigma males aren't wired for any of that. They don't flinch when intimidated, they don't chase approval, and they sure as hell don't get seduced by fake power. So when corruption tries its usual tricks, gaslighting, bullying, guilt plays, it's like throwing punches in a vacuum. There's no contact, no resistance, just dead air. You can't manipulate someone who doesn't want what you're selling, and that's the core problem corruption has with Sigmas. They're not interested. Not in titles, not in attention, not in being liked, feared, or followed. Their self-worth isn't externally sourced, so corruption has no entry point. It's like trying to hack a system that's never been online. The moment a corrupt person tries to engage a Sigma, something weird happens. Their usual weapons malfunction, threats fall flat, bribes get ignored, power plays get laughed at. That's when they start glitching. Because the Sigma isn't resisting, he's just not compatible. His mind doesn't react the way corruption expects. He doesn't argue, doesn't panic, doesn't take the bait. He simply moves differently, quietly, with logic instead of emotion, with boundaries instead of drama. And that makes corruption unravel. And let's be brutally honest, most corrupt people don't know how to function without control. They rely on chaos and manipulation because that's how they maintain power. But a Sigma's presence makes that power look weak. Their discipline exposes the disorder, their calm exposes the desperation. And because they don't need to win in the traditional sense, the corrupt end up shadowboxing their own delusions while the Sigma walks away untouched. He doesn't need to destroy the system. He just becomes a living reminder that the system is obsolete. That's the most dangerous rebellion. Not loud resistance, but quiet irrelevance. And it drives toxic people insane. Not because they were defeated, but because they never got to play the game. Number 4, they don't punish you, they dismantle the entire ecosystem you thrived in. When a Sigma male walks away from a toxic situation, he doesn't just remove himself, he pulls the thread holding the whole rotten setup together. It's not about revenge, it's not about drama, it's about collapsing the false reality someone corrupted others to believe in. Because while most people target the manipulator, the Sigma quietly exposes the system that allowed the manipulation to exist in the first place, and he does it without saying a word. You thought he was just another quiet guy. Another person you could outmaneuver, outtalk, or outgame, but what you didn't know is that while you were flexing your influence, he was tracking your infrastructure. He was studying your dependencies, the enablers, the flying monkeys, the fake friends who kept you safe from consequences. He watched. He learned. And then, with no warning, he started removing his energy from every corner of your web. He didn't confront your enablers. He made them feel foolish forever defending you. He didn't expose you. He became too valuable for your smear campaigns to stick. He didn't punish you, he rendered you irrelevant. And just like that, people started stepping back, first in silence, then in numbers. The loyalty you thought was permanent, gone. The admiration you curated, dissolving. The fear you used to control others, useless. That's what makes a Sigma male dangerous to a corrupt person. He doesn't just challenge the individual, he rewrites the atmosphere. His presence recalibrates the social dynamic without fanfare. His withdrawal creates a vacuum that sucks the illusion out of the room. Suddenly the lies don't land the same. The intimidation looks forced. The charisma seems performative. The room that once praised you starts questioning everything. And the Sigma, he's not even around to see it. He's already building elsewhere, unbothered, unconcerned, and absolutely unreachable because he didn't show up to win an argument or destroy your ego. He showed up to break the entire ecosystem that allowed people like you to flourish unchecked. That's not personal, that's precision. He's not your karma, he's the audit, and your whole empire was running on borrowed time. Number 5, they don't fight your evil. They make it irrelevant by building systems where it can't survive. A Sigma male isn't here to wrestle with your darkness. He's here to make it obsolete. While others exhaust themselves trying to bring you down or call you out, he simply exits the contaminated system and creates a new one where your currency holds no value. You thrive on attention. He builds where attention doesn't matter. You manipulate through charm. He crafts a space where charm is seen as a red flag, not an asset. You hold power through titles and noise. He starts a movement that doesn't even recognize your credentials. He doesn't confront evil because evil wants confrontation. It feeds off it. The minute you engage, you're part of its cycle. Sigma males know better. They understand that to truly neutralize a toxic force, you don't wrestle with it. You create an environment where it suffocates on its own. It's not retreat. It's re-engineering. And it's brutal in its simplicity. Corrupt people hate this because it doesn't give them a stage. They can't spin it, can't manipulate it, can't even throw a tantrum in it, because they weren't invited. When the Sigma leaves, he doesn't just leave the room. He takes the spotlight, the audience, the respect, the relevance, and rebuilds them elsewhere. And when people realize that the air is cleaner without you, they follow him. Not because he told them to, but because truth travels quieter and it lasts longer. There's no speech, no declaration, no revenge post, just silence, elevation, and a new frequency where your noise can't reach. And that's the part that really burns. Your usual tricks stop working not because someone exposed you, but because someone made you unnecessary. So, while you're busy plotting, faking, performing, he's designing a system that doesn't recognize your drama as valuable data, a system where respect is earned, not demanded, where truth outlives charisma. And by the time you realize what happened, you're shouting into an empty room, holding titles no one cares about, while the Sigma is operating 10 levels above you, invisible, untouchable, and absolutely out of reach. Number 6, they don't forgive you, they metabolize you. Forgiveness is cute if you're still relevant. But Sigma males don't forgive in the way most people understand it. They don't need to. Because once you cross them, they don't carry you around in their emotional backpack, journaling their healing process or waiting for closure. No, they metabolize you. You become data, processed, extracted, learned from, and discarded like dead weight. There's no drama, no emotional breakdown, no need for a heart-to-heart. What you get is a full internal reset. The version of them that once trusted you, believed in you, gave you access, that version is gone. Not hurt, not hiding, gone, like a system update that quietly deletes the old software and installs a version that is now immune to your nonsense. And this isn't bitterness, it's optimization. Sigma males are ruthless with growth. They don't dwell, they upgrade. The moment you reveal who you truly are, they begin reconfiguring themselves to never fall for that type of energy again. You thought you broke them. All you did was trigger their evolution. What makes it even more brutal is the silence. You won't get a long speech or a dramatic exit, you'll just start noticing the shift. Their eyes won't light up the same when you speak. Their energy won't meet you halfway. You'll feel like you're talking to a ghost version of them, cold, unreadable, done. That's because you've been removed from the emotional server. You've been archived in a folder labeled lessons, not relationships. And no, you can't come back. Not because they're angry, but because they've outgrown the version of themselves that even needed you around. You're not blocked out of spite. You're just no longer compatible with who they've become. That's not forgiveness, that's transformation, that's alchemy. So while you're still telling your side of the story, hoping for a second chance, they're already applying the blueprint to the next level of their life. One where your access card no longer scans. Sigma males don't forgive, they evolve, and the person who knew you no longer exists. Number 7, they collapse your power from a higher altitude. Sigma males don't stoop to your level. They make your level irrelevant by operating from 10 stories higher. While you're busy throwing emotional punches, pulling strings, and flexing shallow control, they're above the noise, watching the whole theater play out like a documentary they've already seen. You're in the trenches, sweating and scheming. They're sipping still water, unmoved, completely uninterested in the chaos you think is power. That's the thing. They don't fight back because they don't need to. Why wrestle in the mud when you can dismantle the storm by observing it from above? They don't react to your games. They study them quietly, strategically. They let you reveal every move, every weakness, every predictable pattern. And while you think you're gaining ground, they're mapping your entire operation with surgical precision. Then when the time comes, they don't push back. They pull the plug. Not loudly, not dramatically. They just remove their energy, their presence, their contribution. And suddenly your little empire starts to fold in on itself. Because a lot of your influence was smoke and mirrors, and the Sigma knew it. He didn't fight your manipulation. He outgrew the space it required to survive. What's terrifying for manipulators is this. The Sigma doesn't engage, so you can't track what's working. Your usual tactics fall flat. The guilt trips don't land. The ego traps go ignored. The attempts to provoke met with dead air. That's silence. It's not confusion. It's calculation. And by the time you realize they've been 3 moves ahead the whole time, the power dynamic has already flipped. Quietly, irreversibly. The higher they float, the more obvious your desperation becomes. And it stings, because they're not trying to win. They've already left the game. You're still playing checkers in the dirt while they're designing cities in the clouds. That's how a Sigma collapses your power, not by attacking it, but by elevating so far beyond it, your tactics lose all meaning. And the final insult, you'll never get a victory lap. No fight to cling to, just the hollow echo of someone you can't touch anymore, someone who once stood eye to eye with you, but now won't even bother looking down. Number 8, they mutate every betrayal into blueprint-level upgrades. When you betray a Sigma male, you don't leave a scar. You leave a blueprint. You don't break him. You build the upgraded version. He doesn't sit around licking emotional wounds or performing heartbreak. He quietly takes the betrayal, dissects it like a scientist, and decodes the structure of your toxicity with disturbing accuracy. Every lie, every manipulation, every move you thought you made in the shadows, recorded, processed, and filed under never again. To most people, betrayal is a wound. To a Sigma, it's a formula, a roadmap of red flags, behavioral patterns, loopholes in his old thinking, and he studies it, not with emotion, but with brutal clarity. He doesn't need closure from you. He just needs the data, and once he has it, he becomes bulletproof to your kind. You were not the end of him. You were the lab test that proved his original system needed fortification. You can tell yourself you damaged him, but you didn't. You updated him. You taught him what to never tolerate again, what masks manipulation wears, what weakness looks like when disguised as charm. And the part that burns the most, he thanks you. Not with words, not with gestures, but by never, ever letting anyone like you near him again. It's not revenge. It's mutation, it's evolution, and it's permanent. See, most people heal and hope. Sigmas evolve and replace. The mindset that once allowed your access dies completely, that emotional version of him, decommissioned, gone like a software version that couldn't handle viruses. And the next time someone tries your tactics, the Sigma doesn't flinch, because he already wrote the firewall based on your behavior. What you lost was more than a person. You lost a connection to someone who for a brief moment saw the best in you, even if you never deserved it. And now that access is sealed forever, not blocked in anger, blocked by growth. You thought you left damage. What you actually did was hand over your entire game plan, and now he's not just immune to you, he's immune to everyone like you. That's not pettiness, that's mastery. And by the time you realize it, the Sigma's already operating on a frequency you'll never reach again. Number 9, they know when to make you think you've won. Sigma males don't rush to shut you down the moment you start pulling strings. They understand that real power isn't in reacting, but in waiting, so they let you think you've got the upper hand. They smile at your little performances, nod at your narratives, and play along with your scripted chaos, all while quietly logging every move you make, every weak spot you reveal, every piece of dirt you fling. You feel like you're winning because, well, they let you. That's the genius. They don't waste energy trying to prove you wrong or catch you in the act right away. Instead, they quietly gather the evidence, the patterns, the mistakes, receipts that stack up like a hidden ledger no one else can see. Then when the moment is perfect, when you're comfortable, cocky, and completely unaware, they walk away. No announcement, no dramatic showdown, just a silent exit. And in that quiet departure, your whole carefully crafted empire starts to unravel. Alliances fracture, influence fades, credibility cracks, and suddenly you're standing in the wreckage of your own making. You built your fall brick by brick, and the Sigma was just handing you the blueprint. What's terrifying is how invisible this all is. You don't see the trap. You don't hear the snapping wire. You just wake up one day stunned, wondering how everything collapsed without a fight. That's because the Sigma's battle wasn't fought in public. It was fought in strategy, patience, and detachment. By the time you realize you've been outplayed, the Sigma is already several steps ahead, operating in a new arena where your influence doesn't reach. They don't crash your kingdom with noise or rage. They dismantle it quietly, efficiently, and irreversibly. So, yeah, enjoy your fake victory while it lasts. Because the Sigma male knows exactly when to let you have it, just so he can take it all away without you even seeing it coming. Number 10. They won't shame you. They'll outgrow you so completely it becomes humiliating. They won't waste time shaming you with petty insults or passive-aggressive posts. That's amateur hour. A Sigma male doesn't stoop to your level because he knows the ultimate power move isn't tearing you down. It's rising so far above you that your attempts to catch up look desperate and sad. He won't throw shade or engage in online drama. Instead, he'll quietly build a life so untouchable, so undeniably successful, and so psychologically impenetrable that you become a joke without him saying a word. His progress becomes the silent roast that burns brighter than any public call-out ever could. Your attempts to drag him into conflict only highlight how stuck you are in a place he left ages ago. It's like watching someone sprint effortlessly while you're still fumbling at the starting line, except he doesn't even glance back because he knows you can't catch him. The humiliation isn't in his words. It's in the glaring contrast between where he is and where you're desperately trying to stay relevant. And that's what makes it brutal. The shame isn't delivered. It's earned by your own inability to evolve. The Sigma male doesn't need to attack you because he's already won the race you're still running. You become a walking embarrassment, not because he made you, but because you chose to stay small while he grew untouchable. Number 11, they never threaten because their potential retaliation doesn't need language. Sigma males don't waste time yelling threats or making empty promises. Their power isn't loud. It's lethal in its silence. You won't hear them bark, shout, or post warnings because their kind of retaliation doesn't need words. It's a quiet force, a calculated precision strike that arrives without fanfare or notice. Their reputation is crafted through action, not talk. It's built on the subtle but undeniable fact that crossing them comes with consequences you can't predict, understand, or argue against. Even the most hardened, ruthless people instinctively tread carefully around them, not because of fear-mongering, but because they've seen what happens when a Sigma decides to respond, and it's never a fight you get to prepare for. If you mistake their calm for weakness, you're setting yourself up for a knockout punch delivered so cleanly, so efficiently, you'll barely register it until you're already down. There's no warning shot, no time to scramble, no chance for redemption or a second round. The Sigma's retaliation is a ghost, unseen until it's done. It's the power of a shadow moving in silence, dismantling everything you thought you controlled. And because it doesn't need language or noise, it's impossible to negotiate, challenge, or appeal. They don't threaten because their presence alone is a threat. And when they finally strike, it's over. No drama, no rematch, just the cold, brutal reality that you underestimated someone who never needed to say a word. Number 12, they expose you by forcing you to talk too much. Sigma males hold their silence like a weapon, and it's terrifyingly effective. When they don't respond, when they simply observe without a word, they force insecure manipulators into a spiral of over-talking. That silence is like a trap door under your feet. No matter how hard you try to fill the space, you end up revealing more than you intended. The more they stay quiet, the more you feel the need to explain yourself, justify your actions, or flex your influence. You start throwing words around to impress, to dominate, to control the narrative. But here's the kicker. The Sigma never asked for any of it. His silence isn't weakness. It's a mirror that reflects your own desperation and deceit right back at you. In your attempt to control or impress, you spill secrets, reveal tactics, and betray your own intentions. You expose every manipulation, every lie, every insecurity you tried to hide behind a mask of confidence. The Sigma doesn't need to speak because your words become your own undoing. This tactic is brutally simple and devastating. Instead of chasing you down or confronting you directly, the Sigma forces you to do the heavy lifting. You unravel yourself trying to fill the void his silence creates. It's like a psychological chokehold where your own voice strangles your credibility. So when you think you're dominating the conversation or controlling the situation, you're actually digging your own grave. The Sigma watches, silent and unmoved, while you drown in your own words, completely unaware that you're the one handing him the evidence he needs to dismantle your whole act. In the end, your loudest weapon, your voice, becomes your loudest betrayal. And that's how silence speaks louder than any accusation a Sigma male could ever make. In the grand chessboard of life, Sigma males don't just play the game, they redesign it. They aren't warriors battling corruption or manipulators with brute force or loud confrontations. Instead, they move in a realm where the usual rules don't apply, where the very existence of evil becomes incompatible with their way of being. They don't compete, they obsolete. They don't get caught in traps, they turn those traps into intelligence that powers their evolution. And when they decide to sever ties, it's not a mere breakup. It's a total rewriting of reality where the past versions of themselves and those who cross them simply vanish. Their power isn't flashy or loud, it's quiet, methodical, and absolute. While others seek revenge or validation, Sigma males elevate themselves beyond petty conflicts, making their enemies irrelevant by never engaging on the battlefield of chaos and manipulation. They don't give closure because that would mean playing a game on someone else's terms. Instead, they end the story mid-chapter and walk away, leaving manipulators desperate and powerless, starved of the drama they crave. The Sigma's strength lies in this unique ability to stay untouchable, not by brute force or intimidation, but by being psychologically unavailable, emotionally uncatchable, and strategically untouchable. They're the silent architects dismantling entire corrupt networks without ever breaking a sweat or raising their voice. They absorb betrayal, turn it into lessons, and evolve beyond the reach of those who once sought to control them. When they disappear from your world, it's not a fade out, it's an existential erasure so complete that you find yourself speaking to a stranger who no longer carries your story. Ultimately, Sigma males embody a form of karma that doesn't need spectacle or drama. They deliver justice by rewriting the rules, rendering evil powerless and irrelevant. They aren't the heroes shouting from the rooftops. They're the quiet storms reshaping the landscape beneath your feet. If you ever find yourself tangled in the wake of a Sigma male, remember this: their greatest weapon isn't in fighting you, it's in never having to. And that, more than anything, is the kind of power that leaves a lasting mark long after the battle is over. If this deep dive into the untouchable world of Sigma males hit differently, don't keep it to yourself. Smash that subscribe button so you never miss the kind of truths that actually change the game. Like the video, if it shook up your perspective, drop a comment below, whether you've crossed paths with a Sigma or just want to challenge what you've heard. And share this with someone who needs to see how real power quietly rewrites the rules. Trust me, this is the kind of content worth passing on. Let's keep this conversation alive because the world deserves to know what Sigma energy really looks like.